Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to another journey into God's divine wisdom. Have you ever found yourself in a season of life where everything seems to have come to a standstill? Perhaps you've felt a distance forming between you and the people or environments you once held close. Invitations stop coming, familiar doors begin to close, and suddenly it feels like the world has grown quiet around you. If you've experienced this, let me assure you, this silence is not abandonment. Instead, it is a sign of something sacred. You are not being forgotten, you are being chosen. When God isolates someone, it is never an act of neglect, but rather an intentional move of love and purpose. Isolation can feel heavy, even confusing, but it is often the precursor to revelation. It is a time when God sets you apart, not to destroy you, but to transform you. Have you ever wondered why God might remove distractions from your life, or why He shields you from certain relationships and situations? What if this isolation is His way of protecting you from harm while preparing you for something greater? Today, we're going to explore the 7 extraordinary reasons why God isolates His chosen ones. These reasons are not always easy to understand, but they carry profound meaning. Through this process, He is shaping your character, refining your faith, and equipping you for the calling only you can fulfill. This is not just a moment of stillness, it is a season of growth, protection, and empowerment. It's in the isolation that God reveals His plans and strengthens you to step into the destiny He has prepared for you. Before we move forward, I want to invite you to join the conversation by commenting 777 below. If you've ever felt the weight of isolation, but also sensed its deeper purpose. And to all of you who have so generously supported us through Super Thanks, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your kindness and encouragement allow us to continue spreading God's message, and I am truly grateful for you. So, stay with me as we uncover the mysteries of isolation and reveal the divine reasons why God sets apart His chosen ones. This journey will not only open your eyes, but will also empower you to see your circumstances through a lens of faith and purpose. Are you ready to discover what God is doing in your life? Let's dive into this life-changing revelation together. God's chosen ones. God isolates you for 7 reasons that few understand. The first reason God isolates you is to protect you in ways you may not yet comprehend. As one of God's chosen, you might feel a natural desire to belong, to immerse yourself in environments that seem promising, to build connections with people you admire, or to participate in groups that appear uplifting. Yet, what you perceive as good on the surface may hide unseen dangers. God, with His infinite wisdom and vision, sees far beyond what your eyes can discern. He knows the hearts of those around you and the hidden spiritual realities of the places you might enter. Some environments, despite their initial appeal, may carry negative intentions or spiritual corruption that threaten your faith, purpose, and overall well-being. God's act of isolating you is not punishment, it is His protective hand shielding you from harm that you cannot yet perceive. Consider this. Have you ever wondered why certain relationships or opportunities slip away despite your best efforts to hold on to them? In Proverbs 3:5-6, we are reminded to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. What feels like rejection or loss may in fact be God's intervention to safeguard your destiny. Not everyone who enters your life comes with pure intentions. Some wear the mask of friendship while harboring envy, deceit, or ulterior motives. They may subtly introduce doubts, insecurities, or distractions that steer you away from your divine calling. Judas Iscariot, for instance, appeared to be one of Jesus' closest disciples, yet he betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Matthew 26:14-16. Similarly, you may encounter people who, though outwardly kind, are not aligned with God's plan for your life. In such cases, God's isolation is an act of grace, removing you from negative influences before they can take root in your spirit. Have you experienced moments when certain doors closed unexpectedly or relationships dissolved without explanation? Could it be that God was protecting you from unseen harm? Psalm 91:4 reassures us, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart." When you feel the sting of isolation, it is essential to trust that God is working for your ultimate good, even when you cannot see the full picture. Though the solitude may be painful at times, it is a season of preparation and safety. It is in these moments of separation that God fortifies your faith, sharpens your discernment, and draws you closer to Him. Can you imagine what dangers might have reached you had God not intervened? Trust in His plan and take comfort in the knowledge that He is your protector, guiding you away from harm and toward the fulfillment of your divine purpose. This season of isolation, while difficult, is a divine invitation to focus on what truly matters in your life. As one of God's chosen, you are being given the precious gift of solitude, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to grow, heal, and prepare. This is your moment to step back from distractions and reconnect with the core of who you are, and more importantly, with God. In the stillness, your faith can deepen, your discernment can sharpen, and your spiritual strength can flourish. God often uses periods of separation to refine His chosen ones, much like gold is purified in fire. Have you taken this time to ask yourself what areas of your life God might be refining? Consider the example of Moses. Before he led the Israelites out of Egypt, he spent 40 years in the desert, isolated and far from the life he had known. Exodus 3:1-12. It was during this time that God prepared Moses for his divine mission. Similarly, your isolation is not without purpose. By stepping away from toxic environments or relationships, you create space for God to work within you and around you. Could it be that God is using this time to prepare you for something extraordinary? When you distance yourself from unhealthy influences, you allow God to fill your life with new blessings. As Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. By letting go of what does not serve you, you make room for what is aligned with God's purpose for your life. This might include relationships that uplift you, opportunities that inspire you, or a deeper sense of peace and purpose. What blessings might God be preparing to bring into your life during this time? Trust in the process, even when it feels uncertain. Remember, God is not only working within you, but also orchestrating events around you to prepare the way for something far greater. Jeremiah 29:11 assures us of this. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Your current challenges are not obstacles, but stepping stones toward a divine destiny. So, if you find yourself in this season of isolation, embrace it with faith. Reflect on what God is teaching you and how He is shaping you. Have you considered that this might be the foundation for something far greater than you can imagine? Trust in His timing, for He is never late and His plans are always perfect. The second reason God isolates you is that He is preparing you for something greater than you can currently imagine. As one of His chosen, you are being shaped behind the scenes, far from the distractions of the world, so that you can fulfill the unique purpose He has set for you. Just as a skilled potter carefully molds clay before it becomes a masterpiece, God is working on your character, refining your heart, and fortifying your faith. Preparation is a process, And God never skips steps when he is crafting greatness in his chosen ones. Have you ever wondered why this preparation requires isolation? Could it be that he wants your focus fully on him? Consider the life of David. Though he gained fame after defeating Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone, his journey to the throne was not immediate. Instead, he was thrust into a season of challenges and solitude. David had to navigate the wilderness, evade Saul's relentless pursuit, and learn to lead a band of distressed and broken men. 1 Samuel 22:2. Through these trials, God prepared David not only to reign as king, but to lead with humility, resilience, and unwavering faith. Without these experiences, would David have become the leader we remember today? Much like David, your isolation is not a punishment, it is preparation. God is stripping away what hinders you and instilling the qualities that will sustain you in your calling. This season may feel lonely or frustrating, but it is where God is developing patience, resilience, and wisdom within you. James 1:4 reminds us, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Could it be that the very challenges you face are refining you for a higher purpose? Many times, we long for immediate promotion or recognition, but God's timeline operates differently. He does not elevate those who are unprepared. Imagine an untrained soldier sent to the battlefield. It would only lead to disaster. Similarly, God ensures that you are fully equipped before he calls you into the next phase of your journey. In this time of isolation, he is nurturing your spiritual strength and clarity of purpose so that when the moment arrives, you will be ready to step into your destiny with confidence and grace. This preparation is not just about skill, it is about transformation. Every moment of solitude, every challenge you endure, and every lesson you learn is shaping you into the person God needs you to be. Reflect on this. Are you allowing this season to deepen your faith and refine your character? Are you drawing closer to God to understand the fullness of your purpose? If you feel isolated, let it remind you that God is working in and through you. He is preparing something extraordinary for your future, something that requires the foundation he is laying in you right now. Trust in his process and embrace this time of growth. For when the appointed moment comes, you will emerge ready to shine and fulfill the purpose he has designed for you. As Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Trust that your waiting is not wasted. It is building the framework for your destiny. The third reason God isolates you is to empower you, equipping you with strength, skills, and wisdom you may not have realized you possessed. This empowerment often comes through the challenges and trials you face during seasons of solitude. God uses these moments to teach you, refine you, and reveal hidden abilities that will be critical for your divine mission. Have you ever considered that the difficulties you encounter in isolation are not meant to break you, but to build you into the leader God has destined you to become? Take David as an example once more. Before he ascended to the throne, David was not only isolated, but placed in situations that required him to step up as a leader. In the wilderness, he gathered a group of men described as distressed, discontented, and in debt, outcasts who were shunned by society. 1 Samuel 22:2. These men had their own struggles, yet under David's guidance, they were transformed into a loyal and mighty army. This transformation did not happen overnight. David had to develop patience, empathy, and strategic thinking. Through this process, God empowered David to lead not just any group of people, but individuals with unique challenges and potential. Could it be that God is using your current isolation to shape you into a leader who can bring out the best in others? Empowerment often comes through adversity. The trials you face in isolation may feel overwhelming, but they are opportunities for growth and discovery. You may find yourself learning skills you never imagined or developing strengths you didn't know you had. Just as David learned to lead, you are being prepared to take on responsibilities that align with God's greater purpose for your life. Isaiah 40:29-31 reminds us, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Are you allowing these trials to strengthen you, or are you resisting the growth God is offering? The empowerment that comes through isolation is not just for your benefit, but also for the benefit of those you are called to lead or serve. God equips you so that you can fulfill your purpose with excellence and humility. Think of Jesus, who spent 40 days in the wilderness, facing temptation and challenges. Matthew 4:1-11. This period of isolation was not a time of weakness, but one of preparation, strengthening him for his ministry. Similarly, your time in isolation is a training ground, a divine workshop where God is molding you for the tasks ahead. If you feel overwhelmed by the challenges in your solitude, remember that God's empowerment is always accompanied by His presence. He does not leave you to face these trials alone. Instead, He walks with you, guiding you through every step. Have you noticed how the difficulties you've endured have already shaped your character and revealed your resilience? Could these trials be preparing you for a role far greater than you can currently envision? This season is a reminder that God sees your potential and is equipping you for His purposes. Trust in His process, knowing that every challenge is part of the empowerment He is bestowing upon you. When the time comes, you will stand strong, prepared to fulfill your mission and lead others toward God's greater plan. As Philippians 4:13 declares, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." With God's empowerment, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Isolation is a season of profound learning and growth, uniquely designed by God to prepare you for the extraordinary purpose He has for your life. In this sacred time, you are being molded to develop virtues such as patience, unwavering faith, resilience, and wisdom, qualities that will become indispensable in fulfilling your destiny. Have you considered that the challenges you face now are not obstacles, but divine lessons meant to equip you for the future? God is not only preparing you for what lies ahead, but is also teaching you to navigate rejection, criticism, and adversity with grace and confidence. Look at the life of Joseph. He endured betrayal, false accusations, and imprisonment, an extended period of isolation that might have seemed senseless at the time. Yet, through every trial, God was preparing Joseph to lead Egypt during a time of famine. Genesis 41:41-46. Had Joseph not learned resilience and faith during his years of solitude, would he have been ready to exercise the leadership and wisdom needed for such a monumental task? Could it be that your current challenges are similarly shaping you for a role you cannot yet see? Every challenge in your isolation is an opportunity to grow stronger and more prepared for the calling ahead. In James 1:2-4, we are reminded to consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Each difficulty is a divine tool, sharpening your character and building the foundation for the leader God has destined you to be. How are you embracing these lessons? Are you allowing God to refine you in this season? God's timing is perfect, and he hides those he is preparing until the appointed moment. Think of Esther, who was hidden away in the palace, undergoing a year of preparation before stepping into her role as queen and saving her people. Esther 2:12-17. Her period of isolation was not a delay, but a deliberate time of preparation for her divine purpose. Similarly, your season of being hidden is not a sign of insignificance, but a testament to the greatness God is preparing to reveal through you. When the right moment comes, no force, whether spiritual or physical, will be able to hinder your emergence. Isaiah 60:22 assures us, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." Trust that God's plan for your life is unfolding exactly as it should. Your time of isolation is not a punishment, but a divine investment, ensuring that you are fully equipped for what lies ahead. So, if you feel hidden or overlooked, remember that God is intentionally preparing you for a greater purpose. This is your season to strengthen yourself, to deepen your faith, and to embrace the lessons He is teaching you. Can you trust that this time of waiting is part of God's perfect plan for your life? When the moment of revelation arrives, you will shine as the leader God has always intended you to be, and no opposition will stand in your way. This season of hiding is a vital preparation for the remarkable purpose God has in store for you. In this time of invisibility, God is working deeply within you, molding your character, strengthening your faith, and equipping you with everything you need for the calling ahead. This concealment is not a delay, but a divine strategy, ensuring that when the moment of your unveiling comes, you are fully prepared to step into the role God has designed for you. Have you considered that the very challenges of this hidden season are tools in God's hands, crafting you into the person you are meant to be? Think of Moses, who spent 40 years in Midian as a shepherd, hidden from the eyes of the world, long before leading the Israelites out of Egypt. During this time, God refined him, taught him humility, and prepared him for the monumental task of confronting Pharaoh and guiding a nation. Exodus 3:1-12. Could it be that your season of hiding is a similar preparation, where God is equipping you with the patience, wisdom, and strength needed for your future mission? Trust in God's hiding place, for it is a place of safety and purpose. Psalm 32:7 reminds us, "You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance." This concealment, though challenging, shields you from premature exposure and prepares you for the exact moment when God will reveal you to the world. Do you trust that God knows the perfect timing for your unveiling? When that moment comes, His power will be undeniable, and everyone will recognize that it is God who has lifted you up. When God chooses to reveal one of His chosen, it is always in a way that leaves no room for doubt about His hand in the process. Think of Jesus, who spent 30 years in relative obscurity before beginning His ministry. When the time came, His baptism marked the start of His divine mission, and a voice from heaven declared, "This is my Son, whom I love. With Him I am well pleased." Matthew 3:17. Similarly, your time of revelation will come, and it will be unmistakably clear that God has prepared and positioned you for this moment. If you feel hidden or overlooked, take heart. This is not a season of rejection, but one of divine care and preparation. God is carefully setting the stage for your emergence, ensuring that everything is in place for you to shine and fulfill the purpose He has for you. Are you ready to trust this process, even when it feels uncertain or prolonged? Remember, God's plans are never late, and His timing is always perfect. This period of concealment is a sacred opportunity to deepen your faith and grow in trust. Use this time to draw closer to God, to seek His guidance, and to embrace the lessons He is teaching you. When the time of revelation arrives, you will not only be ready, but empowered to walk boldly into the destiny God has prepared for you. As Ecclesiastes 3:11 assures us, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Your unveiling will be no exception, and it will be a testament to God's glory and His perfect plan for your life. The fourth reason why God isolates you is to deepen your relationship with Him. In isolation, distractions fade away, and you are given the chance to focus on the most important relationship in your life, your relationship with God. This is not a time to feel abandoned, but a divine opportunity to draw closer to Him, to seek His presence, and to hear His voice more clearly. Have you ever considered that the quietness of isolation might be the setting God uses to reveal Himself to you in a deeper, more personal way? Look at the story of Elijah. After the dramatic showdown with the prophets of Baal, Elijah fled to the wilderness, feeling defeated and alone. In that place of solitude, God revealed Himself not through the wind, earthquake, or fire, but through a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:11-13. It was in the stillness of isolation that Elijah truly encountered God. Could it be that God is using this season in your life to teach you to recognize His voice amidst the noise of the world? Isolation allows you to strip away the distractions that often compete for your attention, whether they are people, activities, or even your own ambitions. In these quiet moments, God invites you to develop a deeper intimacy with Him, to trust Him more fully, and to rely on Him in ways you never have before. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." How often do we miss His still, small voice because we are too busy to be still? Is this the moment when God is calling you to pause and listen? This season is also a time for spiritual renewal. In the wilderness, Jesus Himself spent 40 days alone, fasting and praying, before beginning His ministry. Matthew 4:1-11. It was a period of profound communion with the Father and preparation for the mission ahead. Similarly, your isolation may be the place where God strengthens your spirit, fills you with His presence, and prepares you for the next steps in your journey. God desires not just to work through you, but to be close to you. This time of solitude is His way of reminding you that your relationship with Him is the foundation of everything else in your life. Are you using this season to seek Him with all your heart? Jeremiah 29:13 promises, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." This is your moment to build a relationship so strong that it will sustain you through any challenge. If you feel alone, remember that God's presence is with you, even when you cannot see or feel it. This time is not about isolation from others, but about connection with the one who knows you better than anyone else. Trust that God is drawing you closer to Him, teaching you to depend on Him fully, and preparing you for the extraordinary plans He has for your life. Could this be the season when you come to know God in a way you never have before? When the time comes for you to step into your purpose, you will do so with the confidence of one who knows and trusts their Creator intimately. The fifth reason why God isolates you is to transform your mindset. During isolation, God takes you away from the influences and distractions of the world to renew your thinking and align it with His divine truth. It is in these moments of solitude that He begins to reshape the way you view yourself, your circumstances, and your purpose. Have you ever wondered if the isolation you're experiencing is God's way of helping you see things through His eyes rather than your own? The Apostle Paul speaks to this transformation in Romans 12:2, where he says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." Isolation provides the perfect environment for this renewal. Free from the noise of outside opinions and societal pressures, you have the opportunity to hear God's voice more clearly and understand His plans for your life. Consider Joseph once again. His years in isolation, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, were not wasted. Through these trials, God shifted Joseph's mindset from a young dreamer to a wise leader. By the time Joseph stood before Pharaoh to interpret his dreams, he no longer saw himself as a victim of his circumstances, but as a vessel for God's purposes. Genesis 50:20. Could it be that God is using your isolation to prepare your mind for the role He has designed for you? In this period of solitude, God also works to strip away negative thinking and replace it with His truth. Perhaps He is challenging the doubts, insecurities, and fears that have taken root in your heart. Are you willing to let go of old ways of thinking and allow God to shape your perspective? Philippians 4:8 encourages us to focus on what is true, noble, and praiseworthy. Isolation can be a time when God helps you cultivate a mindset rooted in faith and positivity, enabling you to overcome the challenges ahead. This transformation is essential because your mindset determines how you respond to your calling. If you continue to think as the world thinks, you may not be prepared to walk in the fullness of God's plans for your life. But when your mind is aligned with His truth, you can face any obstacle with confidence, knowing that you are equipped for the task at hand. How might God be using this time to prepare you for the challenges and opportunities of the future? If you feel isolated and unsure, trust that God is working in your mind and spirit, shaping you into the person He has called you to be. This process may not always be easy, but it is necessary for the fulfillment of your purpose. As 2 Corinthians 10:5 reminds us, we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Through isolation, God is teaching you to take control of your thoughts and align them with His Word. When this season of transformation is complete, you will emerge with a renewed mind, a strengthened spirit, and a clear vision of God's purpose for your life. Trust in His work, knowing that He is preparing you for something greater. Could this be the moment when God is transforming not just your circumstances, but the very way you see the world and your role within it? Embrace the process, for it is leading you to the destiny He has lovingly crafted for you. The sixth reason why God isolates you is to test your faith and obedience. In isolation, you are placed in a position where you must rely solely on God, without the distractions or support systems you've grown accustomed to. This is not meant to break you, but to strengthen your trust in Him and your willingness to follow His guidance, even when the path seems unclear. Have you ever considered that the challenges of isolation are God's way of asking, "Will you trust me even now?" One of the most profound examples of this is Abraham's story. God called him to leave his home, his family, and everything familiar to journey to an unknown land with only a promise to guide him. Genesis 12:1-4. This was a test of both faith and obedience. Abraham's willingness to step into the unknown demonstrated his trust in God's plan. Could it be that your current isolation is God's way of testing your readiness to step into His promises, even when you cannot see the full picture? In isolation, God reveals whether your faith is rooted in Him or in external circumstances. Job's story exemplifies this truth. When he lost everything, his wealth, his family, and his health, he remained faithful to God, even in his isolation and despair. Job 1:21-22. This unwavering faith proved that Job's trust was not in the blessings he had received, but in the one who had given them. Are you willing to trust God, even when everything around you feels uncertain? This season is also a test of obedience. Sometimes God isolates you to see if you will follow His instructions, even when they don't align with your expectations. Consider Jesus' command to His disciples to wait in Jerusalem for the coming of the Holy Spirit, Acts 1:4-8. They might have felt eager to act or return to their daily lives, but their obedience in waiting resulted in the outpouring of the Spirit at Pentecost, empowering them for their mission. Is God asking you to wait, trust, or take a step of faith during this season of isolation? Testing your faith and obedience is not about proving your worth to God. He already knows your heart. It is about revealing to you the strength and depth of your trust in Him. James 1:3-4 reminds us, "Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Every trial you face in isolation is a step toward greater spiritual maturity and readiness for the purpose God has for you. If you are in a season where you feel alone or unsure, trust that God is using this time to refine your faith and solidify your obedience. These tests are not designed to overwhelm you, but to prepare you for the incredible plans He has in store. Have you considered how your faith might grow deeper if you embrace this season with trust and surrender? When the testing is complete, you will emerge stronger, more obedient, and more aligned with God's will. This time of isolation is not the end, but the foundation for something greater. Trust in the process, for God is leading you through it for your good and His glory. As 1 Peter 1:6-7 says, "These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." Your faith, tested and proven, will shine as a testimony to the world of God's work in your life. The seventh and final reason why God isolates you is to prepare you for elevation. Before God brings someone into a position of prominence, He first takes them through a process of concealment. This hiding is not a punishment, but a divine strategy to ready you for the responsibilities and blessings of elevation. Have you considered that your current isolation might be the very foundation for the remarkable future God has planned for you? The story of Joseph is a profound example of this truth. Isolated by his brothers, cast into a pit, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned, Joseph endured years of loneliness and hardship. Yet, every trial he faced was part of God's preparation. At the appointed time, God elevated Joseph, making him governor of Egypt and positioning him to save countless lives during a famine. Genesis 41:41-44. Imagine if Joseph had not trusted God during his isolation. Would he have been ready to fulfill such a critical role? Similarly, your isolation is not a sign of rejection, but a sign of God's intentional preparation. When God decides to reveal one of His chosen, nothing can prevent it. It is a moment so powerful that it becomes evident to everyone that only God could have orchestrated it. Isaiah 60:22 assures us, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." Are you willing to trust that your current season of invisibility is leading to a moment of undeniable elevation? This period of concealment is not just about external preparation, but also about inner transformation. God is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and aligning your heart with His will. Without this preparation, the weight of elevation might be too much to bear. Consider David, who spent years as a shepherd and fugitive before becoming king. Through isolation, God taught him humility, resilience, and reliance on divine strength, qualities essential for his future role. 1 Samuel 16:30. Could God be using this time to instill in you the virtues necessary for the greatness ahead? If you feel unseen or undervalued, remember that this hiding is part of God's plan. It is a sign that He is protecting and preparing you for a new season. Your current trials are not in vain. They are shaping you into the person God needs you to be when He elevates you. As Psalm 75:6-7 reminds us, promotion comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He puts down one and sets up another. Your promotion will come directly from God, and it will be in His perfect timing. Do not grow weary or discouraged during this season. Instead, see it as an opportunity for growth, a time to deepen your relationship with God, and a moment to trust His process. Have you allowed this period of isolation to draw you closer to Him and refine your character? Trust that when God reveals you, it will be in a way that brings glory to Him and fulfills the purpose He has for your life. Your time of revelation is drawing near. When it comes, you will be fully equipped to step into the role God has prepared for you. Embrace this process, for isolation is just the beginning, and elevation is the promise God has spoken over your life. Remember, the trials of today are the stepping stones to the triumphs of tomorrow. Trust in Him, and when the moment of revelation arrives, you will stand ready to shine for His glory. The Bible is filled with examples of people chosen by God who underwent periods of isolation, each with a profound purpose. These moments of solitude were not wasted. Instead, they were integral to the spiritual development and preparation needed to fulfill God's divine plan. Moses, after his dramatic departure from Pharaoh's court, spent 40 years in the wilderness, tending sheep and living in solitude. Stripped of his royal identity, he was prepared to embrace the mission God had for him. In this time, he encountered God in the burning bush and received his divine call to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Through this solitude, Moses learned dependence on God and the leadership skills essential for guiding the Hebrew people on their journey. Sometimes isolation is necessary for preparation, teaching us to grow and trust in what God has in store. Elijah, after his confrontation with the prophets of Baal, fled to the wilderness feeling overwhelmed and discouraged. In this place of solitude, God provided for him, sustaining him with bread and water, and strengthened him for the journey ahead. It was here that Elijah experienced God's presence, not through grand and dramatic events, but in a gentle whisper. This time away allowed him to find spiritual renewal and the clarity needed to continue his ministry. When distractions fade, it is often in the stillness of isolation that we hear God's voice most clearly. Jesus himself experienced isolation during pivotal moments of his life. Most notably, he spent 40 days in the desert, fasting and praying while resisting the temptations of the devil. This solitude prepared him for his public ministry and deepened his connection with the Father. This period of isolation not only strengthened him, but empowered him to fulfill his mission of bringing salvation to humanity. Isolation can often be a sacred time to focus on God, resist distractions, and prepare for the challenges ahead. Paul, after his transformative encounter with Christ on the road to Damascus, retreated into the Arabian desert for 3 years. During this period, he immersed himself in prayer, study, and reflection, allowing God to shape his understanding of the gospel. This solitude was crucial for his transformation and preparation for his mission to the Gentiles. Through this time away, Paul gained clarity on his purpose and returned with the conviction and wisdom needed for his calling. Isolation can often serve as a time of learning and growth, helping us understand the path God has set before us. Joseph faced years of suffering and isolation, sold into slavery by his brothers, and later imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. Despite these adversities, God was at work in every trial. These experiences refined Joseph's character and prepared him for the moment when he would be elevated to a position of great responsibility, becoming governor of Egypt and saving many lives during a famine. Isolation and hardship often serve as God's way of shaping us for greater purposes, teaching us to trust in His plan even when we cannot see it. These biblical examples remind us that isolation, though often challenging and painful, is a time of profound growth and preparation. God uses these periods to mold us, teach us to trust Him, and prepare us for the plans He has for our lives. When we feel hidden or overlooked, it is crucial to remember that God is at work, shaping us for the next chapter. If you are in a moment of isolation, take heart. This is not a sign of rejection, but a sign of divine preparation. Trust that God is by your side, working in you and around you, crafting you for the purpose He has prepared. Isolation may be a sign that something extraordinary is coming, and when the time is right, you will be ready to step into the fullness of God's calling for your life. If you understand the purpose behind your isolation, I encourage you to declare it boldly, whether out loud or in the comments below. I am chosen. These 3 words carry immense power and significance. By making this declaration, you're affirming that even in the midst of solitude and separation, God's hand is upon your life, guiding you toward a greater purpose. This simple statement is not just an acknowledgement of your identity, but a proclamation of faith in the divine plan unfolding in your life. Isolation is never the conclusion of your story. It is the foundation for something extraordinary. It is a sacred process, preparing you for the moment when God reveals you to the world. When that time comes, the revelation will be so profound that it will be clear to all that only God could have orchestrated it. Are you ready to embrace the purpose behind your solitude and trust in the promise of what is to come? By declaring, I am chosen, you align yourself with God's purpose and prepare your heart for the incredible journey ahead. Reflect on the examples of Moses, Elijah, Jesus, Paul, and Joseph. Each of them endured seasons of isolation, and yet those moments were far from meaningless. In fact, they were critical to God's plan, allowing Him to mold them into the leaders, messengers, and servants they were destined to be. These periods of solitude were not obstacles, but stepping stones, preparing them for the extraordinary roles they would later fulfill. Can you see the parallels in your own life? Just as God worked in them, He is also at work in you, even if you cannot see the full picture yet. It's essential to remember that God's actions are never random. If you feel hidden right now, separated from certain people, opportunities, or familiar environments, this is not a coincidence or a mistake. It is a deliberate and divine act. God, in His infinite wisdom, is shielding you, nurturing you, and preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. Much like a seed buried in the soil, this hidden season is where your roots grow deeper, where you gain the strength and resilience needed for what lies ahead. This time of isolation is an act of protection and preparation. God is creating space for you to grow, learn, and develop the character necessary for your calling. Are you willing to trust in His process, even when it feels uncertain? Like those biblical figures, your current challenges are part of a divine plan. When the time is right, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to fulfill the extraordinary purpose He has for you. This season of isolation is a sacred opportunity for you to deepen your faith, draw closer to God, and prepare your heart for the remarkable purpose He has set before you. In this time, God is working within you in ways that may not yet be visible, shaping and refining you for the moment of revelation. When God chooses to unveil a chosen one, His work is undeniable. The transformation in your life will be so profound that it will serve as a living testimony to His power, leaving no doubt that His hand is upon you. Instead of feeling discouraged or questioning this season, embrace it as a time of growth and transformation. Each day of solitude is a chance to strengthen your connection with God, to seek his guidance more fervently, and to build the spiritual resilience needed for the journey ahead. Remember, this is not a delay, but a deliberate process of preparation. Are you allowing yourself to grow and be shaped during this time? The work God is doing in you is significant and purposeful. When the appointed time arrives, the evidence of his presence in your life will be clear to everyone around you. Trust in this process, for it is paving the way for the fulfillment of God's plan. Every moment you spend seeking him now is preparing you to step boldly into the calling he has reserved for you. Stay faithful, knowing that the transformation happening within you is setting the stage for the greatness that is to come. God is carefully shaping you for something extraordinary, a purpose greater than you can currently imagine. In this process, he is clearing away the distractions, burdens, and influences that no longer align with the path he has chosen for you. By removing these unnecessary weights, God is helping you focus on what truly matters: your relationship with him and the divine calling he has placed on your life. Though this refining process can be challenging and even painful, it is essential to prepare you for the new phase he is about to usher in. During moments of solitude, it is vital to hold on to your faith and trust that God is right beside you. He is not only guiding your steps, but also preparing your heart for the greatness ahead. Isaiah 43:19 reminds us of his promise. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Even if you cannot yet see the full picture, know that God is orchestrating something new and beautiful in your life. When the appointed time arrives, the manifestation of God's work in you will be undeniable. He will reveal you to the world in a way that brings glory to his name, making it clear to everyone that he is faithful to his promises. Have you considered that the solitude you're experiencing now is not a sign of being overlooked, but of being intentionally prepared for a greater purpose? When the moment of revelation comes, it will be a testament to God's power and faithfulness, a reminder that he always fulfills his word. Stay steadfast in your trust and faith, for the work God is doing in you now is laying the foundation for a future that will honor him and inspire others. This season is not the end. It is the beginning of a transformation that will glorify God and fulfill his promises for your life. Keep your heart open and your spirit willing, for the best is yet to come. As you continue through this season, remember that God's timing is perfect. Though you may feel hidden or overlooked, this is not a sign of rejection. It is evidence of his protection and preparation. He is positioning you so that when the moment of revelation comes, you will be ready to step fully into the role he has designed for you. This process is not about rushing to the finish line, but about embracing the journey and trusting in his divine wisdom. Reflect on the countless examples from the Bible where individuals had to wait and trust in God's timing. David waited years between being anointed as king and actually taking the throne. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before becoming governor of Egypt. Each of these stories reminds us that God's delays are not denials. They are purposeful seasons of growth, refinement, and preparation. Could it be that your current waiting is setting the stage for something far greater than you can imagine? This time is also an opportunity to strengthen your faith and develop a deeper intimacy with God. Use these moments of solitude to seek him wholeheartedly, to pray fervently, and to listen for his voice. James chapter 4:8 encourages us, "Come near to God, and he will come near to you." The closer you draw to him now, the more equipped you will be to handle the responsibilities and blessings that lie ahead. When the time is right, God's unveiling of his chosen ones is always purposeful and undeniable. He will position you in a way that glorifies his name and reflects his glory. Others will see the transformation in your life and recognize that it is the hand of God at work. Your life will become a testimony of His faithfulness, a light for others who may be walking through their own seasons of waiting and uncertainty. So, as you navigate this period, do not lose heart. Each step, no matter how small or challenging, is bringing you closer to the fulfillment of God's promises. Trust that He is working all things together for your good, Romans 8:28, and that this season of preparation will lead to a future that exceeds your greatest expectations. Keep your eyes fixed on Him, and when the time comes, you will be ready to step into the extraordinary purpose for which you were created. As you move forward, remember that this process is not just about waiting, it is about becoming. God is not simply preparing circumstances around you, He is transforming you from within. He is shaping your character, refining your faith, and instilling in you the strength and wisdom necessary to steward the blessings and responsibilities that are ahead. Have you noticed the ways He is molding you in this season? Are there areas in your life where He is calling you to grow or trust Him more deeply? This time of isolation is also a reminder of God's deep care and intentionality. He is not rushing the process because He knows the weight of the purpose He has prepared for you. Just as a potter carefully shapes clay, God is taking His time to ensure that you are ready for the unveiling. Isaiah 64:8 reminds us, "Yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay. You are the potter. We are all the work of your hand." Each challenge, lesson, and quiet moment is part of His divine craftsmanship. It is important to shift your perspective during this time. Instead of viewing solitude as a setback, see it as a sanctuary, a sacred space where you can grow closer to God and become the person He is calling you to be. The trials you face now are not meant to break you, but to strengthen you. As 2 Corinthians 4:17 reminds us, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Are you allowing these challenges to deepen your faith and prepare you for what is to come? When the time of revelation arrives, it will be undeniable that God's hand has been guiding your journey. People will see the transformation in your life and marvel at what He has done. More importantly, you will stand confident, knowing that you are stepping into your purpose fully equipped by God. This confidence will not come from your own efforts, but from the assurance that God has been with you every step of the way, shaping and preparing you. Until that day comes, continue to trust the process. Seek God daily, lean on His promises, and hold fast to the truth that He is faithful. Every moment of waiting, every season of solitude, and every step of growth is part of the grand design He has for your life. Remember, God's plans are always worth the wait, and His timing is never wrong. When the unveiling happens, you will see that it was all worth it. You are chosen, and what God has started in you, He will bring to completion. Philippians 1:6. Stay faithful, for the best is yet to come. As you remain steadfast in this journey, allow God's presence to fill you with peace and assurance. Even when the road feels uncertain, remember that God is always with you, guiding and sustaining you. He has promised to never leave nor forsake you, Deuteronomy 31:6. This promise is a constant reminder that even in the quiet, hidden moments of life, you are never truly alone. Each day of the season is an opportunity to grow closer to God and deepen your trust in His plan. Have you taken the time to reflect on how much stronger you have become through this process? Every challenge you face, every lesson you learn, is preparing you to carry out the incredible purpose for which you were created. You may not see the full picture now, but know that God sees the end from the beginning. Isaiah 46:10 declares, "I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please." His plan for your life is already established, and nothing can derail it. Use this time to cultivate gratitude and patience. Thank God for the work He is doing, even when it feels slow or unclear. Gratitude has the power to shift your perspective and remind you of God's faithfulness. Patience, on the other hand, allows you to rest in His timing, trusting that He knows what is best. Romans 8:25 reminds us, "But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently." Are you able to wait with an expectant heart, knowing that God's promises are sure? As you prepare for the day when God will reveal you to the world, keep your focus on Him. The unveiling will not just be about what you achieve, but about how His glory is reflected in your life. When God's chosen ones are revealed, it is never for their sake alone. It is to point others to His goodness and power. Think about the impact your story could have on those around you. How might your journey of faith and perseverance inspire others to trust in God's plan for their lives? When the moment of revelation comes, it will be worth every trial and every moment of waiting. You will step into your purpose with strength, confidence, and humility, knowing that it was God who brought you to this place. And as you walk into this new season, you will be a living testament to His faithfulness, a beacon of hope for those still in their own season of preparation. Trust in the work God is doing within you, and remember that He's preparing you for something extraordinary. You are chosen, and the best is yet to come. As we conclude today's message, remember this: isolation is not the end, but rather the beginning of something greater. God is preparing you for a purpose that is beyond what you can imagine. Through this time of solitude, He is strengthening your faith, refining your character, and equipping you for the next season of your life. Trust that every moment of isolation serves a divine purpose in your journey. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with 7 people. God may be calling you to be the vessel of encouragement they need. A simple word of hope can make all the difference in someone's life. By sharing this message, you are helping others understand that they too are chosen and that God is actively working in their lives. If you feel led, consider supporting this channel through Super Thanks. Your generosity helps us continue sharing these powerful messages with others. Whether you donate or not, I want to thank each of you for being part of this community. Your presence, likes, comments, and shares mean so much to us. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. I encourage you to leave a comment below and share how God is working in your life. May you be blessed, and may God continue to guide you through every season. Stay confident, stay strong, and know that the best is yet to come.